Thank you so much for staying with us. Another demarcation, this time around though in Johannesburg, has led to violent protests. The Denver hostel's residents also boycotted voter registration in April this year and prevented IEC officials from setting up voter registration stations. The hostel was previously in a mainly IFP ward, but then after demarcation, half of it was to be included in a ward led by the Democratic Alliance. And with me right now in our studio is our reporter Manqoba Mchunu, who covered that story earlier this year. Thank you so much for joining us. Do we know for sure why the ward was split into two? Could it have been a case of political gerrymandering perhaps?
Well, what we got from the residents there is that they were told that their ward had reached its maximum in terms of the number of voters that could register onto it. They told that the demarcation board said to them that they were allowed only about 45,000 voters in that particular ward. And once that number had reached or it got beyond the 45,000 mark, then they had to be moved. Some people had to be moved to another ward. And this literally meant that people from Ward 65 were then now moved to Ward 118, which is a DA-led ward. And basically, when we also spoke to the municipal board, they told us that that was the reason that, as you heard in that previous insert that was played, that after every 5 years, there's a review process that is carried out so that the numbers of the voters are assessed, and then the demarcation is done according to those numbers every 5 years before there is another local municipal election. And therefore, that was one of the reasons why the demarcation board took this decision, because that ward had now gone over the 45,000 threshold.
And the residents certainly did not take kindly to that. What were their reasons for rejecting this move?
Well, the residents were very angry of the decision. First of all, they said that they were not consulted. And they say that since they were not consulted, they do not accept this move. Secondly, the residents said that, Ward 65 was now going to be divided into two. And this means that half of the hostel will be under one ward and the other half would be under another ward. So this meant that there will be two councillors who are serving the very one hostel in the end. And therefore, they said that this will not be good for them in terms of service delivery. They feel that their service delivery plights will be ignored if they have two councillors overseeing the same hostel.
Were they consulted, though? Because Jane Tupana said they consulted widely with the community. What's at play here? Well,
the community claims that they were never consulted. They said that their leaders did meet with the demarcation board, but the issue of demarcation never came up. They said that they were only told that this might happen in the future, but they were not told that it was going to be a decision that will be taken before the local municipal elections. And you can imagine the anger. The people are saying that this is a predominantly IFP-led ward. And now some people are being moved to the DA ward. They're saying that this is going to disadvantage them at the elections. They feel that, they're going to lose some votes from the people in that ward. And therefore, they're totally against that decision, saying that the demarcation board should review it. They want it reversed, in fact, saying that they do not accept it. And in fact, their plans are to take it even further after the elections.
Now, briefly, what 65 Councillor Mandlakaisa Smilana said, the main reason for their resistance is that this being incorporated rather into 118 was that it was going to push their names down the list of the RDP beneficiary. Have you heard anything to that effect?
That's one of the reasons what they gave, is that there is already a long list of people waiting for houses. There's an informal settlement just next to the Denver hostel, and it's also part of that ward. And therefore, they feel that, if it's moved to 118, it won't get as much priority as it would have under the same councillor who already knows their plight, who already knows their issues, who knows about this housing development that's going to take place there. So they feel that they'll be disadvantaged if they are moved to that ward, because this demarcation, what it basically means is that that particular informal settlement will now fall under the new ward, which is 118. And therefore, they strongly object that, saying that, it might count against them when it comes to that housing list that has already been worked on by the councillor of the IFP party.
They also rejected registration, and in essence, they're not going to vote. Is that still the case?
Well, no, they've changed since then. We know that during the first voter registration weekend, they boycotted, they prevented IC officials from entering. They even went as far as threatening people who wanted to register, to go and register. So what the IC did is that under the police protection, they set up temporary shelters opposite the road, on the main road of the hostels, and that's where people were able to register. But still, there was a group that was threatening people who were going there literally. So there was not much registration that took place that weekend. But what happened after that? there was a meeting between them and the indunas, as well as the lawyers that have now sought to deal with this issue, and they were advised that it's better to register for the elections and also to vote so that their right is heard. And then finally, they say that they're not done yet. They're still going to take this matter forward after the elections, and that there will be more unrest if this decision is not reversed.
Manqoba, thank you so much for joining us. That was a reporter, Manqoba Mchunu, giving us some perspective, about the whole demarcation process and then taking us back to the violence that rocked Denver in Johannesburg. We thank him for his time.